With March of the Machine, the Aftermath, finally available for the world to play. Today I'm going to be giving you my top 5 best cards for Pioneer and Explorer. I am LessAlex for Quiet Speculation, your one-stop for everything Magic the Gathering, finance, and strategy on the internet. Go check out Quiet Speculation to read the article. That, of course, will be linked in the description below if you want to read basically what is in this video and a bunch of other amazing content. Make sure to like the video, comment, and subscribe. What is your favorite card from March of the Machine Aftermath? And what cards do you expect to be good in Pioneer and Explorer? I want to know. Let me know in the comments below. But with all that fun stuff out of the way, let's jump into the video. Number 5, Metropolis Reformer. Metropolis Reformer is a 3-mana 2/3 creature angel cleric with flying and vigilance. You have hexproof, and whenever Metropolis Reformer is dealt damage, you gain that much life. Now, at my initial look at this card, I didn't think much of it. However, I had to take a second look because it can be hit off of Collected Company. That is huge. There's already an Angel deck, although recently it's kind of taken a back seat to a lot of other decks in the format. But I do think Metropolis Reformer has the right stats. It's a 2/3, so it can block profitably against 2/2s and gain you life. You have hexproof, so another thing that I thought of, yes, obviously this works excellent against Thoughtseize effects, but also in Pioneer specifically, the way that Lotus combo kills nowadays is peer into the abyss, targeting your opponent. So if your opponent has this on their battlefield, you can't target them straight up, and there's not many ways for that deck to remove creatures. Anyways, this card, sneakily, it snuck into the top 5 list for me. I definitely don't play Angels or anything like that, but this card is pretty good. The fact that, again, you can hit it off Coco, and it basically is excellent against any red deck is why it's hitting my top 5 list. Next up, moving on to a card I am very excited about, we have Narset Enlightened Exile at number 4. This is 4 mana, Jeskai colors for a 3/4 human monk legendary creature. This is, of course, one of the Despart planeswalkers. We may or may not talk about more in this video. But this says, creatures you control have prowess. All creatures you control. So including Narset herself. But wait, there's more. Whenever it attacks, exile target non-creature, non-land card with mana value less than Narset's power from a graveyard and copy it. You may cast the copy without paying its mana cost. Dreadhorde Arcanist called and wants his ability back. Holy smokes. Now, the reason this is so low on the list, there isn't necessarily a home for this right now in Pioneer or Explorer. The closest shell we have is the Izzet 8 Pyromancer deck that, of course, uses Third Path Iconoclast and Young Pyromancer. You would have to stretch the mana a bit to get here. Obviously, this is Jeskai colors, but in Pioneer, you can use Mana Confluence. You could even use Tri-lands, but you do have to stretch the mana a bit. But the fact that it gives everything prowess and you can exile from anyone's graveyard, really awesome. You could even target a Fatal Push to get something out of the way for you. You could Fiery Impulse something. This card is really, really sick. I'm super excited to brew with it, and I just hope it gets there. This is the color pie, the part of the color pie that I really enjoy. I love tempo decks when I'm not playing Control. I love tempo decks, and I'm really excited to see if Narset Enlightened Exile finds its way into Pioneer and Explorer, because I am so stoked for this card. I love the character. I love the design of this card. And yeah, moving on, though, to number 3, we have Jirina, Dauntless General. It's a 2 mana, 2/2. It costs white, black. It is a legendary creature, human soldier. When it enters the battlefield, exile target player's graveyard, and then it has another ability, sacrifice it. Humans you control gain hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. So, holy smokes, a lot to digest here. We have, when it enters the battlefield, it exiles your opponent's graveyard, just boom, straight off the rip. Bojuka Bog's a card. This is Bojuka Bog stapled onto a 2/2 for 2. And that second ability, sacking it, giving all your creatures hexproof or indestructible. Of course, Supreme Verdict, excellent against humans, excellent against any creature deck, really, but also you can use this to get around a Fatal Push or some kind of spot removal. But I'm really, really excited. This card could help spawn. There is obviously mono white humans in the formats, but this could help propel Orzhov humans into the direction. Maybe because of this card, we will see Orzhov humans more and more. I know when I'm playing on the ladder, and even sometimes on Moto, you will run into Orzhov humans. It's not very, very likely, but it does pop up occasionally. And maybe with this card, who knows? Maybe it'll be a front runner instead of the typical mono white. Moving on, though, to number 2, we have Obnixilis Captive Kingpin. This is another desparked planeswalker. In lore, he is stuck on New Capenna and trying to deal with the 5 houses. Anyways, let's take a look at what it does. It is a 4-mana, 2 black-red demon legendary creature, 4/3 mythic. It has flying and trample. I love a card with flample. And it also has, whenever one or more opponents each lose exactly 1 life, put a +1/+1 counter on it, then exile the top card of your library until your next end step. You may play that card. This is a card advantage engine. Much like Metropolis Reformer, this is a card that is in a deck that kind of fell out of favor in most recent months, but I think that with Cat and Oven, you're constantly pinging. You're going to be growing this dude. He's going to be absolutely massive. He's going to be a 7/6. This thing's going to be awesome. Of course, Oni Cult Anvil also deals 1. You've got Mayhem Devil that could make this card excellent. That deck, this slots into perfectly. So I'm super excited to play against this. Not really excited. I'm not excited at all. Actually, that is one of the most annoying decks to play against, but I'm glad for them that they have a card that could potentially bring that deck back to the forefront of Explorer and Pioneer players' mindset. That is number 2, Obnixilis Captive Kingpin. Now let's talk about some honorable mentions. We have Arya's Oathsworn. This is 2-mana, 2/2 human knight with menace. It's colorless and a black. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, if it has fewer than 4 +1/+1 counters on it, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Then if it has exactly 4 +1/+1 counters on it, search your library for a card, put it into your hand, and then shuffle. The fact that this thing has menace means it is most likely, if you play it on turn 2, going to get through for at least 1 attack and grow itself. Now, something I wanted to point out, that if you have any ways of putting +1/+1 counters on creatures, obviously you can kind of cheat this, grow it, and you can take it from 3 to 5 very quickly. So wow, this card seems like a little bit of a sleeper, and nobody's really talking about it. My big thing is I don't know exactly where it fits in Explorer and in Pioneer, but I'm really excited to see where this thing goes. I think there's a ton of potential for it, and I'm excited for it. Moving on to my second honorable mention, we have, of course, Nissa Resurgent Animist. This is 3-mana, so 2 and a green for a Elf Scout Legendary Mythic Rare 3/3. So good stats, 3-mana, 3/3 with Landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, add 1 mana of any color. So Lotus Cobra is already a card. Pretty decent, was excellent in Standard. But wait, there is more, because then if this is the second time this ability has resolved this turn, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal an elf or elemental card. Put that card into your hand and the rest at the bottom of your library in a random order. So this is always hitting. You can always get an elf or elemental off of this if it is, of course, the second time. But this kind of does like the Risen Reef thing where you just draw a card and you can play it with Risen Reef and Omnath and just kind of go nutty. This card seems like it could be a real deal in Explorer and in Pioneer, and that's why it's getting my second honorable mention. And at number 1, we have, in my opinion, the best card in Pioneer and Explorer from Aftermath, Coppercoat Vanguard. Yes, a lowly uncommon, but this is no normal uncommon. 2 mana, colorless and white for a creature human soldier 2/2. Each other human you control gets +1/+0 and has Ward 1. Holy smokes. The reason this is getting number 1 and not any of these other cards is because this slots in perfectly to a deck that is already a thing. So this slots perfectly into mono white humans, whereas Jurina doesn't necessarily have an exact home. This slots in perfectly because it's going to buff all your other humans. And if you combine this with Thalia, Guardian of Thraben, how do you like casting 3 mana Fatal Pushes? Because that's what you're going to have to do to get rid of this thing. Oh man, this card is sick. I'm so excited to play this. I actually really do love playing little mono white aggro strategies, so I'm definitely going to try this. Be on the lookout for a gameplay video from me very soon. But that is my number 1, Coppercoat Vanguard. 2 mana, 2/2. This thing's going to kick so much butt. What is your favorite card from March of the Machine Aftermath? Let me know in the comment section. My name is LessAlex. You can check out my content on Twitch. I have a YouTube page, and I have a podcast called The Control Freak. Otherwise, check out all my other content on quietspeculation.com and here on the YouTube channel. Go check that out. Again, one-stop place for everything Magic the Gathering, finance, and strategy on the internet. And until next time, I will catch you all on the flippy flop. Adios!